Okay, I am back home, sorta. I spent a couple of days in Huntsville, Alabama on a work trip, and I landed in LAX, picked up my car, and I am now driving home, so to speak. Since I am bored out of my mind, I figure I'll talk a little bit more about politics, or in this case, old history. So, unless you've been living under the rock, you've heard these spectacularly silly kids from Parkland who feel that the fact that they went to school where a mass shooting happened, they have the moral authority to basically be marked spectacularly stupid even by teenage standards, right? That's saying something. I talked a little bit about it on Facebook, and one of the reasons I don't have any real... I got yelled at a couple of times at the time, they're just kids. 25 years ago, in 1993, January 1993, there was a shooting in the classroom in Fairfax High School. It was a winter session. I was an 11th grader at the time, and I had to take English 9 in order to graduate. I came to America and went into 10th grade. So in order to graduate, they forced me to take English for the 9th grade, which I did during winter school. And about 30% of the kids in the class were not from Fairfax High School, not from where I was. They were bussed in from elsewhere, including a bunch of kids from South Central Los Angeles. They were actual 9th graders who, for whatever reason, I don't know if they failed, need to take it again or something, I don't know. Right? Anyhow, so one of the kids, his name was not disclosed, he was a minor, he's an adult now, I presume. His name was Alphonse Roshan Knight. He brought a revolver that he stole from his grandfather to school. I don't know if he brought it many times or just that one time, if I understand this correctly, it's been a few times, and fired it from inside his backpack. The bullet went through the guy who was sitting in front of him, and then when it hit another second guy who was standing next to me, it was just before class in the morning, and the second guy who got hit, I think, if I remember correctly, I remember seeing his neck bleeding, so I think it went through somewhere in his neck, so he basically fell on the floor next to me, and in the next 40 seconds or so died. His name was Demetrius Rice. I didn't know any of the kids involved particularly well, I was just in my class. But anyhow, so I was in a classroom, the kid who died almost fell in my lap, so I don't have any real tolerance for the self-righteous stupidity of the Parkland kids, right? I think they're being milked for their worth by the media and generally by the left, who all have their agenda and they're using these kids, but the kids that are getting the publicity are legitimate leftists, right? The few kids who were in Parkland who are not for gun control, like Kyle Kashuv and all others, they're not getting any airtime, right? The media only gives the airtime to these morons like the Porky kid, whatever his name is, something to do with pigs. And there's a girl, shaved head. I remember, I don't follow this very closely, but I listened a little bit to the speeches, right? And I was just impressed. So they're giving this communist salute, a Che Guevara salute. The girl is wearing a jacket with a Cuban freaking flag, right? So I think the point he's trying to make is that we should be more like Cuba. I don't know, but either way, I think the kids are political pawns, but they are not 10-year-old, they're 17-year-old or whatever they are, 18, 17, and really they should have some measure of self-awareness, right? But anyhow, as for what happened 25 years ago, to add a little bit of detail, so there are a couple of things that the media never reported, right? The media, I was curious, so I pulled up the LA Times article that was published back then, and I linked it on my Facebook account. It's facebook.com /darklordofoptics / whatever, one of the slashes, Dark Lord of Optics. I linked the LA Times article there, I found it in the archive, and just to see what they say. And I remember being dissatisfied because they sort of took poetic license, but they weren't as egregiously political. But there were certain things that they just didn't want to report. For example, the guy who was teaching English 9, he was an anthropologist by education, older guy, Mr. Schwartz, I believe. It was really interesting. So the shot fires. The kid who fired says, "Oh shit!" grabs his bag and runs out of the class. Right, somewhere in the media they reported he just sat down and waited. No, he ran off. They got him in school somewhere. Although I don't think he put up much of the fight. And the one thing I will never forget is what the teacher said. So the teacher looks around, sees 2 bleeding kids, 1 dying, 1 just wounded. Although, on the spot it's kind of hard to figure out which is which and all that. But one that was dying right in front of him. He basically looks at the whole thing, and the first thing that comes out of the mouth, he goes, "Oh shit!" Well, didn't say the word shit. She said something worse, but this is going on YouTube, so I don't want to use the word. He said, "Oh shit! This had to happen in my class." That was his first reaction. And I remember looking at him thinking, "You asshole." Then he was giving interviews and enjoying his moment in the sun, and then everybody promptly forgot about him. Right? And we had a couple of girls from South Central class who were all of a sudden very involved, all claimed to be best friends with the kid who died, although they'd never seen it before. And all that, and they had their moment in the sun for a couple of days, and then it was all forgotten. And the kids from Parkland, they will have their moment in the sun for a little bit longer, because since the media decided to make this an anti-gun crusade, as Rahm Emanuel once said, for the left, you never let a crisis go unutilized, so they're utilizing the tragedy the best they can. But anyhow, so the Parkland kids will be just as forgotten, because fundamentally they're just stupid kids. That's really teenagers generally are not very bright, even the ones with potential, and the ones who are quote unquote leading this march for life or whatever they're calling it, they're just silly. So that's all going to be ancient history soon enough, which is not necessarily a good thing. As a conservative, I kind of like it that these idiots are out there, because the more vocal they are, the crazier they get, the better Republicans are going to do during the midterm election later this year. All of this basically is going to help the Republican turnout quite a bit. So to the 3 Parkland kids who are being very vocal about this, the Porky kid, and there's another kid, and the girl, I don't remember the names. Thank you from a conservative standpoint for galvanizing the grassroots Republican support. And as an advice, having gone through something like this 25 years ago, keep your mouth shut, keep your nose down, use your brain. Don't let the adults use you. If you think they have any sympathy or empathy for you, you are basically wrong. They have some morbid curiosity in what you went through, and they're using you for their political means. 25 years ago, the whole political means wasn't as much, but I remember how everybody was all over us and asking us all sorts of questions and all that. And the thing that, it's weird how human memory works, right? There are certain things I remember very clearly, like snapshots, and some others are hazy. And one of the things I remember very clearly is that I was really irritated because, a kid lost his life, and in the grand scheme of things, other than your family and all that, nobody gave a shit, right? So yeah, all the questions we got, all the quizzing we got was just morbid curiosity, right? And then they chased in a bunch of psychologists, whatever they were, from Cedars-Sinai, and they forced us to go to their sessions after school. I went a couple of times, and I swear those psychologists did more harm than the actual shooting. These people were so crazy, you should have seen it. So at first, as a law-abiding citizen, I thought it was mandatory. I talked to them a little bit and asked them what happens if I don't come, and once I figured out that technically it's mandatory, but they have no mechanism to force me to come, I basically stopped coming, because A, it was a waste of my time, B, I don't remember the name of the psychologist who was, a few who were coming in and out, and there was one who was with us after school. That lady was just deeply unpleasant. She was so crazy, so spectacularly, obviously crazy, that I just didn't want to be in the same room with her. Okay. So anyhow, that's some history for you. Shootings in the classroom are not new. The copycat shooting like the Parkland guy who presumably was just bullied and wanted to be famous. That's a little bit newer, but it has happened also. Why the kid in our classroom fired a gun, nobody knows. He claimed it was an accident, and I think he got convicted for involuntary manslaughter. I have no idea what happened to him since. I didn't bother to look and didn't care really. I hope he found peace. My theory is that, so what happened was at the beginning of the class, the teacher would give papers back, right? And the kid who brought the gun to school claiming for self-protection, he didn't exactly get a good grade. And he really did not get along well with the teacher. I mean, he was not a good student. That's probably why he was in winter school there. And if I were to make a guess, and this is just a guess, I've got no other than basic observations. I have no other reason. So this is just a guess. I would guess that he got another fail in his paper. Well, I know he got another fail in his paper, so. He was looking at it, and he was upset, and he shoved his hand in his backpack, and he took hold of the revolver that he had there. Interestingly, if I remember correctly, the media even misinterpreted which exact revolver he had. They said it was a Ruger Blackhawk. I don't think it was. I think it was a Security 6. But regardless, my best guess is that he was just fondling the gun in his back, imagining that he's going to shoot the teacher or some other bullshit. He was a very volatile kid. And because he didn't know what he was doing, the gun went off. And wounded one guy and killed another. One interesting tidbit is the guy who was wounded, his name was this Russian-Israeli guy. His name was Eli Kogman. He's now, I think, a real estate broker right around where I live in Woodland Hills. So the bullet went through him. My name is Ilya Koshkin. Eli is the same name. So I have some American relatives, and I have an uncle who was at the time a writer for Los Angeles Times, right? And after seeing the news and all that, remember this is before cell phones and all that, it's 1993, he decided that I got shot at Fairfax High School because he saw the name Eli Kogman and figured that the Americans can't figure out how to spell my name again, right? So he was convinced that I got shot, and proceeded to say something along those lines to my parents. And remember, so police gets into the school, well sequestered, police has to interview everyone and all that, and the parents have no idea who got hurt, who didn't get hurt, there's no way to contact us and all that. So there was a fair amount of freaking out, and when I finally got home with blood in my jeans, remember the guy who died fell down next to me, so my parents were they were very happy to see me alive, which I guess is a good thing. But anyhow, that's that. Thank you if you suffered through this whole monologue. You've got my sincere admiration. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Visit my website. Click on some links. I really do appreciate your time.